Man, we really don't understand who and what we are dealing with in this country. We are dealing with an enemy that is using our emotions against us. They have weaponized racism against black people. Now, I'm not saying that racism does not exist. I'm saying that racism has become weaponized in order to keep the poor masses of this country fighting at the bottom, while the few at the top rule over all of us. Now, some of you all might not be familiar with the Nation of Islam and our teachings, but Master Farad Muhammad teaches in the Supreme Wisdom about 3 classes of people. He doesn't deal with race, he deals with classes. The first class is the 85%. This is the ignorant masses. The second class is the 10%, which are the wicked, wise rulers and masters of the 85%. And the final class is the 5%, whose sole purpose is to awaken the 85% to the evil machinations of the 10%. 3 classes, right? That should go to show us that the people who are ruling at the top, they graduated from black and white a long time ago. I'm not saying that some of the stuff that they do is not based solely on the color of your skin, but what I'm saying is that racism and white supremacy has evolved. It has come a long way. So the wicked people of this country don't think the same in 2018 that they did in 1718. They have progressed, but unfortunately the poor people in this country, mostly black people, we have not progressed yet. So they're sitting down and they're thinking, if these people outnumber us, meaning the poor masses of this country, because everywhere you go at on this earth, poor people outnumber rich people. Oppressed people outnumber the oppressors. But if you can capture this, and if you can master this, it does not matter if they outnumber you 100 to 1. It doesn't even matter if they outnumber you 1,000 to 1. He or she that controls this can master all of this. And so I want to deal with black people because we're the main victims of this race war propaganda. Every single time a police officer kills one of us, or some racist vigilante kills one of us, if you notice, black people have the same 3 automated responses. Either we protest, either we boycott, or some of us are silly enough to become apologists for white folks. Those are the 3 automated responses, right? And the reason why I noticed that is because, you know, when the Trayvon Martin thing happened, I was very, very young. I was pissed off. When the Tamir Rice thing happened, I was very, very young. I was pissed off. But one day, I got sick and tired of seeing us respond to these incidents in the same way. And every way that we responded, it was never a permanent solution, right? And so I had to step back and I started observing black people. And then I started observing the agenda in this country. So if you notice, between 2012 and 2015-16, roughly about a 3 or 4 year span, most of the police shootings and vigilante shootings of black people that were getting national recognition were of black men. And in that time, the enemy noticed something. They noticed that every single time we kill one of these black boys or these black men, they're women. They're women. The black woman stands up in frustration and she's consoling her man, right? The enemy noticed that. So they're not emotional like us. They take everything that we give them and use it to their advantage. So they said, okay, this black woman is loyal. This black woman is really all that stands between us and the complete annihilation of the black man in America. So what are we going to do? Well, let's see. We are going to turn her against her man in the 2000s like we did in the 1960s. Now watch this. During the civil rights era, many consider that to be the golden era of black consciousness. Me personally, I think it's indisputable. I do think that conscious-wise, black people as a whole, that was our golden era, right? Now, what did you see during the civil rights era? Now, keep in mind, with the civil rights era, you're not just dealing with the NAACP, you're dealing with the Black Panthers, you're dealing with the Nation of Islam under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you're dealing with an entire society of where the average black person was extremely conscious and extremely productive. What is the imagery that you saw during that era? You saw the black man and the black woman together, and you saw black children. And that the enemy recognized was our power base. If you have a strong and productive black man and he's married to an intelligent and obedient black woman, and that black woman is raising black children up under a family structure where those black children are seeing relationships between black men and black women done right, those black children are growing up having no problem respecting and answering to black authority. That is a problem for the enemy, because the enemy can only rule us if we are made to believe that they are the end all be all. So they went to work with feminism, and that is how they came in and disrupted the work of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, disrupted the work of Martin Luther King Jr., disrupted the work of Malcolm X, etc., etc. Now let's fast forward to the 2010s. When Black Lives Matter came out, there were a lot of young black men that were on the forefront in the beginning. One of the most notable ones was our brother Darren Seals, okay? He mysteriously dies in a car crash. So they got rid of the defiant black male. And this is what they have always done. Every race riot that black people have ever been in, the white man has calculated and assessed how much of a danger to the white power structure that an angry black man is. And being angry and being black is not a bad thing. They have us thinking that being angry doesn't solve anything, right? But it's natural for black men to be upset with being mistreated and seeing their children and seeing their wives put in danger. That is natural. The enemy wants you to think that it is not natural, but it is, okay? So the enemy is saying, damn, we thought we had destroyed the relationship between the black man and the black woman, only to find out that they hadn't. So anytime the enemy fails, he doesn't take it personal. He goes back in the gym. He goes back in his smoke-filled boardrooms, and he re-strategizes how to disrupt the black family once again. So with the Black Lives Matter movement, most, if not all, of the heterosexual young black men who started that movement are either dead or they're in jail. And that movement was hijacked by homosexual black women, homosexual black men, and it started getting funded by George Soros, who is a known government destabilizer. They have to put the black man and the black woman at odds in order for them to rule over us. Now let's bring this to the most recent situation with our sister Naya Wilson, who was killed out there in Oakland. As soon as the news broke, here goes one of those automated responses again. Black women wondering, when black men gonna protect us? Where are all the black men at? But nobody wants to talk about how in Florida a couple days ago, there was a young black man who was defending his family from a racist white male, he gets shot dead. He got shot dead doing what everybody says that we should do. And I don't see hardly any black women go on social media and defend that brother with the same intensity. I'm not saying this to go after our sisters. I'm saying that to warn our sisters of what is being done to them. The enemy is now desensitizing the plight of the black male. Whereas once upon a time, we were catching all of this stuff on social media, and there was a lot of sympathy for black men. But now, if you notice, the tide is shifting. They are manipulating the dissatisfaction of the black woman and redirecting it to her black man. I even saw a video the other day that a black man put on social media saying that the heterosexual black male is the white person or the white people of the black community. What does that beget but more animosity between the black man and the black woman? So, like I said, the enemy's greatest fear is a healthy relationship between the black man and the black woman. So all that they are doing, everything that they are conspiring with, is geared towards the complete destruction of the black family. They don't want strong black men because they have to be the standard of what a man is to the black woman. It's been like that ever since slavery, and it's like that now. And some of us still foolishly refer to the white man as the man. The white man, in order for him to rule, he has to be the standard, not a standard, the standard for what rulership, leadership, and what a man is. So this race war propaganda is extremely real. It's not saying that race does not exist. What it is saying is that racism has been weaponized against black people in this country. Whether you want to admit it or not, we are being emotionally manipulated by the government, by the enemy. And this is the reason why black people have not made any type of progress. And so Minister Farrakhan gave us a study guide called Rising Above Emotions into the Thinking of God. God has emotions, but God is not emotional. And we are being ruled by our emotions. Everybody knows that the quickest way to get black people riled up is to say the word nigger, or to do some racist stuff like call the police on a little black girl who's not bothering anybody for selling water. All of this stuff does, it gets us riled up. And what do? Some of us go off and coon, some of us protest, some of us boycott. And even though we don't permanently boycott anything, those are the three responses. The only response to racism and white supremacy that black people have yet to try is separation. And the reason why we have not tried separation is because the enemy has not advised us to. The only people that have advised us to separate are people that look like us. But since we hate ourselves, we don't respect Marcus Garvey. We don't respect Elijah Muhammad. We don't respect a Louis Farrakhan, who have been telling us to put our money together and buy up territory. And then something else that really pisses me off with a lot of Negroes is they say that separation is unrealistic. Oh, really? So the Amish people are not separate? You can go up to South Dakota and North Dakota and you have neo-Nazi groups that have bought hundreds, if not thousands of acres of land where they have their own schools, their own living quarters. They're separated. Every major city in this country has a Chinatown. They're separate. But for some reason, it's unrealistic for black people to come together and buy up our own cities, buy up even our own state. That's unrealistic when it comes to us. But every other culture is respected for having their own. So I say to black people, man, we really need to reassess our mindset, because this enemy right now is going in for the kill. We in the fourth quarter right now. If we don't make some serious damn adjustments, black people in America are going to be extinct very, very soon.